Oh, look at that new baseball facility. I'm geeked up about it still. I went over there yesterday. We were there obviously last week. We've kind of seen it unveil itself over social media and in person, and I thought it was just really cool to see it this weekend, finished product, at least for now, this phase. And did a heck of a job getting it right in time for first pitch on Friday night against Sacred Heart. And the Ospreys won the series, the best out of 3, 2 games. 2-1. That corner is cool, by the way, down there. It's going to be fascinating to see how that plays. Brent Martineau, Richard Miller, and Richard was over there for the baseball. What do you think? Isn't it great to see?
Oh, it's so nice. And not only that, the bats got so hot Saturday, Sunday. You come away with the series opening win. So I know the guys are thrilled, and softball was active. I mean, these next 2 weekends on campus are just absolutely bonkers. Coming up this weekend, we have 18 events over a span of 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
18 in 2 days?
Yes.
How are they doing that? I got to have to ask. I mean, do they need some help? Hamby can help out.
Yeah, he can join us.
That's amazing. That's a lot. We actually just talked about the Florida Gators did this weekend. They had like gymnastics, baseball, softball, lacrosse, hosted a golf event, 10,000 plus for a Kentucky game, then baseball. Like, I don't know, it really stresses college athletic departments. I don't care how big you are. No, they've got a little at Florida, I'm sure. Yeah. But that's incredible, 18 events. And then obviously we know on the horizon, which really starts next week, we'll get some early state championship stuff happening, and then the first couple of weeks of March in ASUN basketball, men's and women's. There's a lot in Jacksonville. There's really a lot on the campus of the University of North Florida.
Big time. So it's all fun.
It's really fun. And you mentioned softball. We'll have Jeff Conrad on in a little bit, off to an 11-1 start. So a lot of good things happening in that way, too. Let's talk some hoops with Bobby Kennen right now. Did have the River City Rumble Part 1 at Swisher Gymnasium. And, all right, here's my takeaway. If you hold the team to 63 points, this team, I figure you win the basketball game. Just tell me that part. You held the team to 63 points, you're like, heck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I thought our guys did a great job of kind of shrinking gaps and really rebounding the ball. But one of the things that's been a consistent theme for us in games we haven't finished is we had some untimely turnovers down the stretch and key offensive rebounds. Even though we out-rebounded them, we had a possession where we were down 1 with I think about a minute and a half to go in the game. We forced a long 3 that took about a 25-foot 3, got an offensive rebound, and took another 18 seconds off the shot clock, and then hit a 3 at the buzzer. And it's just that we've had to have the ability to finish plays on the glass and get shots on the other end.
What about, I don't want to get you in trouble, but the differentials and personal fouls? Is that something you tell your team? Because as a player, I'd see that and go, oh, man, we're just not getting the whistle.
Well, it's kind of funny. It's one of those things where, they had a 43% foul rate coming in. They fouled on 43% of their possessions coming into the game. That's just analytics or statistics.
Is that that's high?
That
seems high.
Yeah. Just
I guess I really haven't heard that stat, so I don't have a comp. But that seems really high.
It's very, very high. But it's one of those things where, like, if the game is called, if a game they're obviously big, physical. That's how they're built. Yeah. They're built to win a 60-point game. That's how they're built. They're big. They're physical. And if the game is called in that manner, then it's advantageous to them. As opposed to us. And the game was officiated that way. And where I was kind of proud of our guys, even though the game was officiated that way, is we fought, we hung in there, and we were right there to have a chance to win. So I thought it was a great sign of growth on our guys' behalf to be able to play a different style of game and give ourselves a chance to win.
I'm always fascinated by that part. How much can you control the pace versus how much they can control the pace? Because we knew that was going to be a little bit of the storyline anyway. They're okay playing in that realm. They want to hold you guys off a little bit, limit possessions if possible, because you guys are so prolific scoring it. Right. I guess the only way sometimes to force that is speed it up with a press or something else. Like, did you think you would be able to manage the pace of the game, or did you know that they would probably control the pace of the game?
Well, it's crazy. Kind of early on in the game, like, I actually thought the pace was in our favor. Like, it had gone up and down. I want to say, it was 15 or 16 points in almost the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game. I thought, okay, it's in our favor. And then we had some opportunities that we missed. We were really, really good when we were playing in transition and kind of pushing and flattening the defense out a little bit. But they kind of got into, they switched a lot of things on us, and instead of just attacking directly, we just kind of bounced the ball a little bit, and then when you bounce the ball, the floor shrinks for them defensively, and then even though you kind of force a switch and get a mismatch, if you don't attack right away, you lose your advantage. And I think that's one of the things that we did. Particularly in the first half, is we didn't attack the switch right away. We lost an advantage, and we got into some late clock situations. But I also thought, the game comes down to like energy plays, and we did a great job on the offensive glass in the first half. I think we had one possession where we had 3 offensive rebounds,
I remember that.
and we're able to come up with a score. But we've just got to, for us, we've got to make it faster, and we've just got to make quicker decisions with the ball and attack earlier in possessions rather than waiting until late to do it.
What about looking ahead? I know 3 of 4 at home. All these games are in the state of Florida, and I think you've got a great chance to win 3 of 4.
Yeah, I hope we have a great chance to win 4 of 4. I told our team today, one of the things that we talked about, kind of our theme for our game Saturday. We kind of have a different theme every game. Is just success. Endurance is success in disguise. It's what it is. You've got to endure, but you endure the tough times, you endure losses. But what you can't do is you can't let the losses become your identity. You can't assume the identity of a loser, even though you lose. You've got to take it, and you've got to go through it. And every year there's a team in leagues like ours, they're going to finish in the bottom half of a league in the regular season that are going to go to a conference tournament. And I told our guys, I don't want to sneak up on somebody on March 8th. I want them to see us coming, so let's win these last 4 games going into the conference tournament. I want them to see us coming. I don't want to sneak up. So let's get some momentum going in.
Awesome.
And that's our goal.
Austin Peay this Thursday night, by the way, then at Stetson, then home against Florida Gulf Coast, and another edition of the River City Rumble against JU on February 28th, senior night. That'll be a fun one to end the month, and then really lead right into March, of course. Do you need, or not need, I don't know, but would you, of course you want to win all 4, like to get a little momentum built up? Beating a team like Austin Peay potentially, or do you think your guys need to see one of those kind of W's?
It's crazy. We've been obviously right down to the wire with Lipscomb, with Queens, really, 2 great games with those guys at the top of the league. And even though I know our margin was high, I think it was 18 or 19 with Austin Peay. The score wasn't indicative. The game wasn't indicative of the final score in that game. We were in that for a really long time. But yeah, I think anytime you see you see results, you're going to gain confidence. And they're terrific. They're the one team in our league that I think can play different styles. They can beat you in different ways offensively. They mix defenses. They're big. They're physical. They're athletic. They have a lot. They have a lot to them, and it's certainly a challenge. But again, at the end of the day, we've talked from the very beginning, 37 weeks to get to, get to March 8th, and if you're going to win a conference championship, you're going to have to beat the best teams in your league. So for us to have the opportunity to do that going into the conference tournament, it's there for us.
Let me just follow up with that, I guess. And do you sense at all? Where do you sense? I think I've asked you this in the past, mentally at this stage, where your team's at. You've been in games. Yep. You've played really good basketball a lot of times. You've shown glimpses of that can be a really good team and can beat anybody. But as you said, stay away from that kind of that loser mentality is your identity. Do you feel any of that creeping in with your guys just because human nature is? You look at the standings, and it's not where you want it to be.
Not at all. I think if you came in and watched us practice, you'd think we were, you think we're 12-2 at the top of the league.
Okay,
if you watch our guys practice, if you watch the the energy, the enthusiasm, them pushing each other, the fact that guys are we just talked about that kind of outside. Our guys are in the gym shooting all the time. They're there. They're doing the things. They're doing the things that we need to do to put ourselves in position to win. And it's one of the things that I talked about today. Emotion. Emotion's a temporary thing. It's a temporary lift. That's what it is. But habits carry you through. And we talked again today about just continuing to build our habits, And we obviously watched film before practice today, and it's okay, fellas, we've had this play. This is the offensive rebound that beat us. Which one is it? and we had the same exact possession twice and gave up the same offensive rebound twice. Guys were in the same exact spots. And it's like, okay, like this is what we worked on. We need to make sure we build this habit and we take it through because, emotion's gonna ebb and flow, but habits need to sustain you.
Can you expound upon those habits? Because we talked outside before the program that you don't have to ask or tell these players to get in the gym, get shots up when they're not practicing.
Right. Certainly. I mean, I think we've got a group of guys who love the game, and more importantly, they love each other. So they're in there. They're constantly working. They're watching. They're watching film. We have all the. They have access to all our stuff. They have access to practice on the phone. They have access to our games on the phone. Obviously, ESPN Plus is a great. Has been a great partner. They can watch teams throughout the league. So our guys are well aware of kind of what's going on and what we need to do to win.
One back to Saturday, was that as hot as you've been on the sideline this year on the one occasion? I think you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there was, and it's funny. Like we had a play, there was a foul called on us on one end, and there wasn't on the other end. And the thing was the referee was telling me like, hey, it's not the same play, it's not the same call, And I said, I never said it was the same call. I said it was a foul. And there's a difference.
Yeah.
There was a difference. I mean, there were both plays on the interior. But again, like, physicality and letting things go, are disadvantageous to us. And when we get in a position where, we get the ball close to the rim and we have an opportunity to get fouled, then, we need to take advantage of those situations. And, the way they kind of defended where they were like, okay, we're going to spread out. We're going to take away the 3-point line. We're going to make you guys get to the rim. Well, when you do that, like we've got to get rewarded too.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that play in particular, because it was a big swing play. I mean, it was a swing play, and a lot of those in the games. There are a lot of swing plays, and I think I've been pretty good with those guys all year. And he kept saying it's not the same call, and it's like because I think they're so used to hearing it's. There's like 10 things referees say.
Yeah.
Like they don't travel. Oh, the ball got bobbled. Like, oh, this, like they all say the same. Like they go to referee school and they say that there's literally like the same 10 things they say.
Yeah.
And so he must have been like, oh, it's not the same call. I said, no. I never told you it was the same. It's the same call on both ends. I said it wasn't, but it's a foul. And that was that. But at the end of the day, players decide the games. Those guys don't, and we just got to find a way to be a little bit tougher in the finish.
I think it's good though because we've been talking to you all year as you've gone through this season. I remember you early on Talon Talk saying, "Hey, I bet almost even keel too much or a little like." I don't want to get too involved, but also got to have my players' backs.
Oh, you got to fight for those guys.
Yeah, and you feel like you've done a better job of that, I guess, since I asked you way back. That was like game 2 or 3, and have you done? But you have been pretty even keel most of the time too on that sideline.
Yeah, but definitely have. I think you have to pick and choose. I think you kind of have to pick and choose your spots. I think when you kind of bark at those guys and chase them all the time, I think it's counterproductive. And I think one of the things is like I don't want to give my guys an excuse. And I felt like there was a game. It was actually I think it was at West Georgia. I'm mistaken. And basically like we have so many in this stretch, and basically I had to kind of stop because like when I do that, then all your players are looking to the referees all the time instead of playing. And I think sometimes that comes contagious. And I actually called a timeout, and I told our guys like, "Hey, fellas, look, that's my fault. I've lost my composure. They're gonna do their thing. Let's settle in and play. Let's just settle in and play." And we did, and we won. But I think sometimes like they feed off of you, and the game's it's a game of runs. It's an emotional game anyways. But like I never want to give our guys an excuse or a reason or an out. Like I said, the whole year like we've been trying to do is find solutions rather than excuses, and that's the thing I think when it comes to officiating.
That's cool. I can appreciate that. I still yell at umps.
Even over the weekend?
Heck yeah, over the weekend.
What about?
I saw you were traveling too.
What about, Coach? You play an ASUN tournament game over at Swisher. Some of the keys that maybe your team learned in playing there once already.
It's funny. I had this conversation with Nick a couple weeks ago, and like our league's going to do what our league's going to do, and I know they don't want us playing at home because it's a home court advantage or whatever. But I think if you really think about it and think about the whole thing through, like, I know we've already got a couple buses booked, we've already got all that stuff. Like, we have a better chance of having a home court advantage playing at Swisher with the people that we'll attract there from a fan perspective than if we're playing at UNF.
That's wild.
You know, if we have, think about it. Like, if we have 1,000 people in Swisher, we pack out Swisher, we have 1,000 people, then you got every seat filled, and it's great if they're bringing 50 people or whatever. I mean, I don't know who we're going to play, but like, it's different.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
You know, when you really think about it, like,
I get the league's perspective on it, but in this situation, I think you're dead on.
I do too. But like, if really the true home court advantage for anything is just kind of creating that energy and having that home crowd, and we have probably a little bit better chance to do that playing there in a smaller venue, even than we do playing in our own facility.
Yeah.
So I know our administration, and kind of you guys were talking about it at the beginning of the show, and with facilities and all events, like we do a great job. Like, we've got the people make the place, and we have an extremely committed administration, extremely committed staff, and they're going to do everything they can to help us pack Swisher out when we play over there. And they may wind up rethinking this, down the road.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's unique here in Jacksonville, I think, especially with the two distinctly different venues.
Certainly.
Here, and then obviously a third one downtown for the A-Sun. If Kent Jackson and Mason Lee just bring their family, it'll almost fill up the Swisher Gymnasium anyway. But speaking of those two guys, I love the fact that you got a couple local guys and really performing well. I think we've talked a lot about Kent Jackson and what he's done, and he's one of the most prolific three-point shooters in the country. Mason Lee's a guy a few weeks back I thought really started to come on. I know you guys have mentioned him on the show at times too when I haven't been here, but he's done a lot I feel like I've seen a lot of growth from him from my perspective. I guess I'm kind of wondering from your perspective, and you guys have had this kind of guy over the years where he's kind of stuffs the stat sheet a little bit, and it's not just the scoring, right? But you're like, dang, that guy made a big difference today in this basketball game, and it might not be because it's 16 points.
No, I think Mason's actually in A-Sun play, in A-Sun games. I think he's the third leading rebounder in the conference at 6'6", and he's done a tremendous job. He's just done a tremendous job for us. I mean, the thing that Mason does is, he's actually like, he's an extension of me on the court. Like, he understands what we're trying to do. He understands what we're trying to get. It's crazy. Like, we wound up putting in a play for, and we've got a lot of mileage off of it. I think going into the Lipscomb game on Friday practice before the Saturday game, and I think we got a lot of mileage out of it. And it's one of the things where I'm just kind of trying to take advantage of him and his skill set, and he does. He's one of those guys that, like, you don't know what position to play him in, but you just play him, and he's done that. Like, he's a really, really good shooter. And just the only things that I need him to continue to grow at is, like, he's a 45% three-point shooter when he's taking 45% three-point shots.
I got you.
Don't take 20% shots.
Yeah.
And sometimes
it's like my golf game. I relate.
Yeah, sometimes he wants to hit a home run when he's got the ball in his hands instead of just being a little bit simple. But he's really, really grown a ton in that thing. And I think the biggest area of growth that Mason has demonstrated this year is he's really matured and had a better next play mentality. Like, he hasn't let one thing lead to two. And I think early in his career, I think that was one of the things that was kind of keeping him from the court a little bit. But I'm really proud of his maturity, really proud of his growth, and also, just the growth in his skill set as well.
Maybe a little bit of a jump, but you're starting to maybe plan on senior day in about a week or so. Any special things that you're thinking of or doing or sharing, or do you want to save it to next week?
We'll save that one the next week. I kind of had an idea coming in here, which I think would be kind of neat for our guys and their families, and just something. I'm really, really looking forward to I think you look forward to any of your senior days, but like each guy in particular for me, is at a different point, in their journey. I mean, Devin and Dalton have given me their last years, as transfers at a Division I. Cam stayed, Nestor stayed through, not playing and growing his game and becoming a starter, and they all have a unique story, and I think that's the best thing. I think that's the best thing about this is just kind of watching guys travel their own path and getting to the same place and being able to celebrate them all here in a couple weeks.
Well, one thing about your situation is you're the guy that really and your staff, but really been in the trenches and recruiting those kind of guys too.
Yes.
And now, obviously, as the head coach of them. Just a quick thought: is that like a this level thing where you're involved in like a senior night festivity and have some input and influence? Like, is Rick Barnes doing that at Tennessee? I guess is what I'm asking. Like, I don't know.
Well, we certainly
which can be fun, by the way. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying. Like, I don't know. I don't see Rick Barnes worrying about what the heck senior night is.
No, again, like Nate and his staff are fantastic. It's just like one of the things that I love just about being here is that there's constantly just new ideas and new ways of doing things and new ways of looking at things, and just I think we've been very student athlete focused, kind of front and center, and I think that comes from the top, that comes from the top of our administration, and I just think that anything that we can do to make our experience unique, and it's like even at shoot around the other day at practice on Friday at JU, Nate sends Graham over, who's an intern and kind of shooting for the first time, and it's like just to be part of kind of people's stories and at this level, letting guys do things for the first time or having experiences for the first time. I just think it's a neat thing, and it's a place where you can take chances, where you can do things differently, where it's, you can be on the front edge of some things.
All right, I can't let you go because I think people watching Talon talk for wherever and Osprey fans. And actually, we got a baseball family. They said they watch from North Carolina, so shout out to them. I should have got their names. But you saw the news on Matthew Driscoll.
Yes.
And I think a lot of Osprey fans were texting me when that, and I'm sure texting you. With the changeover, looks like he'll be the interim guy at K-State for the next 6 games to finish that thing out at the very least. How wild is that? First of all, have you talked to him a little bit? And that'll be a weird situation, right, for coaches who especially are close to each other.
Yeah.
To just take over the role, but you got to do it for the players and and the school and everybody else. Part of the gig.
Certainly, it's crazy. Like I'm getting in the shower last night or whatever. I get out and I have 2 missed calls from Coach, and I saw the thing on our staff text thread about it. And, so I call him back and he texts me. He's like, "Hey, we're getting ready to meet right now. I'll call you." So, we had an opportunity to speak last night. We had a 20, 25-minute conversation. It's a really tough time for anybody to put in. I mean, it's his best friend.
Yeah.
He goes there to help his best friend, and for it to kind of turn out the way that it turned out. Obviously, it's been a little difficult year, but nobody sees this coming at this point of the year. And for him, he said, he really wanted to do it because it was Coach Tang's wish that he coaches a team. Obviously, the athletic director's wish, and just my 2 cents of that was, like, everyone knows who you are. You've impacted the program. You've built relationships. You've sat in that chair before. Just go be yourself. Be who you are, and just coach the team to your best of your abilities. And the other ironic thing in the whole thing is they play Baylor.
Played Baylor. That's crazy.
They play Baylor on Wednesday night is the first game, but. Coach's a pro's pro, and above anything else, he puts student athletes first, and that's front and center. And I know he's going to do the best he can to help those guys finish their experience the best they can as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. You've said the Baylor thing is fascinating, and it'll probably be in 10 years when you're sitting on the beach and talking about it, kind of an interesting 6-game stretch. Go to Kansas as well for Kansas State, so hey, go beat Bill Self in Kansas. That'd be a good one to put on the resume.
Hey, it's just it's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, you never. Sometimes the way things happen, you never think they're going to happen the way they do, but at the same time, it's in front of you, and it's just up to you to make the most of it. And I know Coach will, but his whole thing is going to be about his team and the program and doing what's best for Kansas State.
Hey, go make the most out of the last 4 games. Austin Peay on Thursday night at UNF Arena, then go short trip to Stetson, which is nice, and then Florida Gulf Coast and Jacksonville before the ASUN tournament here. So Happy at home, I guess, for the remainder. That's good.
Yeah, no doubt. I hope they have the hotel rooms cleaned in Daytona after the race this weekend. By the time we get there on Friday, it's a big week for them down there.
It was.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Bobby Kennen, men's basketball coach at the University of North Florida. We come back talking a little softball. Spring season is happening, and the Osprey softball team off to an 11-1 start. Baseball team won the series as well over Sacred Heart.
Sun's out, suits out. That's right, it's summertime in Florida, which means it's time to say goodbye to bulking season and hello to shredding season. But if you're like me, you're having a hard time sculpting and shaping those final pounds. That is until I came and saw my friends over at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Right now, everyone is hopping on the Evolve X train, and the only destination is finding your perfect summer body. The technology uses electrical muscle stimulation and radio frequency energy to cause your muscles to contract, all while heating up those deep layers of your skin and tissue to produce collagen and reduce fat. It's like doing 1,000 sit-ups in 30 minutes. No pain, no needles, just results, right?
That's right.
So leave those winter layers back at the station and come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Hi, I'm Joel Donovan. My brother Kyle and I, we are co-owners and operators here at Donovan Heat and Air and Electric, and my dad started the business in 1987 to provide the greater Jacksonville area with a great customer service experience. 3 decades later, we're still doing the same thing. I love the Jacksonville area, I love the community, I love raising my family here. That's my name on the side of the building, and it's really important for our family to run this company the way it should be ran. It's something to be proud of.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
We're CSI companies. We partner with organizations nationwide to help employers like you find your dream team. You're looking to hire the best of the best, and we've got you covered, start to finish. Whether you're hiring for projects or everyday operations, we provide the talent, strategic solutions, and innovative technologies that keep your business ahead of the competition. This is your workforce, reimagined. This is CSI Companies.
Baker Sports. It's a hometown. Welcome back here to Talon Talk, talking a little bit of softball. That was Caden Oliver. There it is, the game-winning hit. Always a fun feeling. And 4-3 win in 8 innings yesterday over Stony Brook, and that finished off a really nice weekend for the University of North Florida softball team as they improved to 11-1. Welcome back, Brent Martineau, Richard Miller. We were just talking a lot of ball in the break and kind of missed coming back for Talon Talk. But we can do it right now with Jeff Conrad, who now is signing up for Talon Talk to try to chase down Nick Morrow. Like I feel like it's a mission of yours.
I told Nick last week he's in my sight, so I'm coming hard.
Well, the way this team's playing, I mean, we're going to have you every week.
Absolutely. Make time. Carve it out.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys moved the show to Monday, so it fits perfectly with our schedule now. So
that is. Boy, what a busy weekend. You know, it's interesting. You see baseball starting up, and you get these, 3-game series, and usually you guys just played a bundle of games over the last 3 or 4 days. You need a day off.
Yeah, 6 games last week. I guess, you factor in we had a day off on Thursday. but then 5 over the weekend. So a lot of games in a short period of time. But we like it. We're excited to get out and play somebody other than ourselves. Obviously, we do a lot in terms of scrimmaging and different things at practice. So our pitchers, I think are tired of seeing our hitters and vice versa. So
is this like a full day off for the ladies, or will they still be out there in the cages?
Technically, it's a full day off. But I think the one thing that our team's gotten really good at is they understand that. There's a process that's involved, and it takes time, it takes work, and they're willing to go out there on their own and get the work in when we can't be out there, and we've got a hardworking group. They understand that success doesn't come easy, and there's a price you got to pay if you want to be successful, and fortunately we got a group of kids that are willing to do that.
11-1 record, you see it on the screen. That's the best in D1 program history. So add another accolade to just a heck of a start. And by the way, obviously beat Auburn. You had some good competition this weekend, and a lot of unknowns. I mean, your pitching staff is really an unknown coming into the season. I know you have confidence in them. We've discussed that already a couple of times. But, man, are they performing? You must be really happy with the way they've performed overall.
Yeah, really, really happy. I mean, especially Cam Ponick. I mean, she's, she was really good this weekend, picked up 3 wins on the weekend, and I think she's, coming close to starting to, separate herself from the pack a little bit, which is good. It's something we'd like to see, regardless of who it is, have a little bit of separation amongst the staff. But we've got, 5 arms that we feel really good about. I think they've all, contributed at some, in some capacity throughout the, the season so far, and played important roles in us being where we are. And, they're young. They're still fighting to gain some experience and different things like that. So we're still battling some consistency issues, but I think that's to be expected, and it's it's really kind of been one of the things for our team altogether. I mean, we're 11-1, certainly not going to complain about that, but I think consistently we've struggled a little bit to put a consistent effort out there game after game, and it's one of the things that we really challenge the kids with moving forward. We obviously went 6-0 this weekend, but I think. Marshall, I think we played fairly well, but for the most part this weekend, I told the kids I thought it was a C+, B-, game that we put out there, and again, happy that we're able to win the games, but I think we got better, and we're just struggling to find that consistency to get to that point.
All right, one quick thought here, Richard. Is that coach off to an 11-1 start? Is that a sign of where the program's at? Where the expectation to play at that consistent elite kind of level is now there? I mean, would you come away thinking the same thing, I guess, 2-3 years ago after a weekend like this?
In fairness, probably no. But we didn't set out to become stagnant. We're always trying to push the bar, raise the bar. And our team understands what my expectations are, and we're happy to obviously win the games, but we know we can play better. And I guess it's good to be able to have that outcome and not have your good fastball on those certain days or whatever it is. We're happy, obviously, with the result, but, I think our process, we understand playing to what our standard is, that, we maybe fell a little bit short of that throughout the weekend, but, it's we're happy with the result. Obviously we're not going to complain about winning, and I certainly don't want it to come across that way, but I think our standard is our standard, and our kids understand that, and they're used to hearing after the game, obviously, the things we do well, but here's the things that we got to improve on in order for us to be where we want to be at the end of the year.
You touched on it briefly with Cameron Ponick, and the strikeouts jump out, 16 so far this season, but her leap from last year to this year, what's been the biggest notables?
Well, Cam, I was really proud of Cam this summer. I mean, she really took ownership of her development. She took it upon herself to, go play this summer, and I think that really helped her out tremendously. And she led her team to a title in the summer league, the collegiate summer league this summer. And I think for her, I mean, she was a kid that we knew coming in had a lot of ability. She struggled early with consistency, and and then she was also behind Allison Benning, so the opportunities weren't, a little bit spread out, and, things like that. But I think Cam, took it upon herself to, really go out and, push herself, find an opportunity to play, make up for those innings that she wasn't getting throughout the spring, that maybe Allison was getting, and, recognizing the opportunity that was there, and she really took control of that opportunity. Went out, played this summer, had a really good summer, and I think her confidence really grew. And she came back in the fall and was different. You could just tell that she really benefited a lot from, her innings this summer, and, having that success and seeing that, hey, she's capable of leading a team to a championship too. And really saw that as a great opportunity for herself, to kind of jump in and potentially be the number one on this staff this year. And, really did a great job with her outings this weekend, and was really happy for her, and really just proud of, her dedication, her focus and everything, and really just taking ownership of, her process and going out and finding ways to compete.
I stopped by softball on Sunday for a little bit, and at the time, I think you guys it was like the fourth inning, maybe fifth inning, down 3-2 in that Stony Brook game. You end up coming back and winning 4-3 in 8 innings. But I was struck by something because I probably am thinking in real time. I'm like, oh, this is a game that you guys feel like you should be winning or should win this game. Where your program's at, and I was watching you guys in the dugout, and I feel like you're very calm and just kind of in observant mode. How hard is that to be? In games, especially where you might even have a sense of frustration, but also how much are you in observant mode right now, specifically at the early part of the season, trying to figure out how you guys handle different situations, right? How the individuals handle certain situations, what rotations are working, all those things. I would imagine there's a lot that goes into that to try to figure it out and eventually get to a certain point.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a lot of things that we kind of went into this weekend that we wanted to take a look at. We had some kids that, didn't win starting jobs coming out of spring training, but were close. And we came into this weekend thinking, depth is something that, with 56 games, you got to have depth. And we really came into this weekend, wanting to present some opportunities for some of those kids that were really close and give them some opportunity. And, and we were able to do that. We stayed true to the plan. I think obviously the outcomes are important, but obviously too, getting to that point where we feel really good, you're inevitably going to have injuries. You're going to have, situations where your depth is going to come into play. And we really felt like it was important that regardless of, where we're at, that we needed to stick to our plan. And, there were times, throughout the week where, Mario was sitting to my left, and he probably felt a little bit like my secretary, because like you said, I'm sitting there observing, and I'm constantly giving him things that I'm like, hey, these are things we got to get better at. These are things we got to do. These are things we got to focus on in practice. And there was a lot of communication like that. But, my demeanor is always it's very laid back. It's very chill. It doesn't matter if it's, a game in the regionals to go to a regional final or whatever it is. I'm kind of always that same person. That's, just kind of always how I've been. And I try to tell our kids, you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, and you got to find somewhere in the middle to kind of ride to find that consistency. And, I'm sure there's times where they look at me and things are tense, and, the last thing they want to see is me getting all worked up or something like that. So,
easier said than done. God bless you.
Yeah. It's, it's not always easy, but it's always just kind of been my personality.
So even as like a player and stuff,
yeah,
was it like
very
that?
much
So that's been easy for you. It wasn't like a learned thing.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, even though, this whole coaching thing feels no different to me than what it felt like playing. Like, I wake up every morning and I have that same feeling I had as a player. But that was kind of just always how I was, just very kind of even keel, riding somewhere in the middle. Never felt like whether we were playing, I think it was my freshman year, we beat Notre Dame, had ascended to number 1 in the country, and we beat them 3-2. And and I was fortunate enough to be a starter as a freshman, and just, I think I actually had the game-winning hit in that game, and the guy was throwing about 98, and I think I pulled it out of the catcher's mitt and sliced it just inside the line. But,
Got it done.
Yeah, just always been just never felt like, regardless of what the situation was, just always felt kind of comfortable in it. And, and I think a lot of that comes with preparation. Like, we really prepare our kids. They go into a game knowing fully what to expect. And I think, a lot of the things, obviously I talk a lot about my time at Michigan and working with the football program and the things that I learned there. And, a lot of that preparation that goes in throughout the course of the week is what gives you that opportunity to win on the weekend. And just relying on that preparation and feeling good about it, and always trusting in that process.
A couple big games coming up, Brent.
Yeah.
You've got Tuesday, Wednesday at Florida, and then the Gators here Wednesday. We'll also have that broadcasted on ESPN Plus. But what are the chances against the Gators? This is a top 5 team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, obviously great opportunity playing a top 5 team, a team that's perennially in the World Series, and for us, really the way we're looking at it is we know our goals are to make it to a super regional. We fell in a regional final. This is the type of team we got to beat in order to get to a super regional. So really, I think just 3 weeks into the season, it's just an opportunity for us to check and see where we're at. Where do we need to grow? Where do we need to get better? Knowing that at the end of the season, this is going to be the litmus test, to get to a super regional. So, for our kids, we just kind of, look at it as opportunity. It's opportunity to see where we're at. We know there's areas we got to get better. Like I mentioned, we've struggled to put our A game on the field on a consistent basis, and that's one of the things we know we got to do and get better at. And I think for us, it's just an opportunity against a great opponent going into a tough environment, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of attention with them being whatever they are, 12-0, and us being 11-1. That people are looking at this game. But for us, I think it's just an opportunity for us to go out, compete, find out where we are, find out where we got to get better. And it's not just the 2 games at Florida. I mean, Friday night we're going to play Grand Canyon, who's I think in that mid-major poll, I think they had us 8 or 9, and I think they're number 2 currently.
Yeah.
So
that should be a great weekend.
Yeah, and same thing. I mean, these are all just great opportunities. For us, maybe a chance to build our resume a little bit more. We've got the, obviously the win against Auburn. You're able to beat a team like Florida. Maybe go out on the road and beat a team like Grand Canyon. And now you're building your resume to where you're, maybe you don't have to win the ASUN tournament. Take a little bit of that pressure off your shoulders to where you gotta, know you gotta run the table in the tournament in order to get that bid. Maybe you're, in the conversation for an at-large at that point. So, we try not to make too much of it. I mean, obviously our kids get excited to play Florida. I think we feel really confident, after the way we played them in the fall. 4-4 game through 8 innings, and ultimately their depth, just kind of overwhelmed us a little bit late in the game. But I think we feel like we belong. I think we feel like we're capable of going down there, obviously playing well, and obviously excited about getting the opportunity to have them at our place. And it's a big week. It's just one game at a time. It's always kind of been our focus. Worry about what's in front of us, and then once we finish that task, we move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's really part of the pivot now. I mean, you're not sneaking up on anybody.
Yeah,
and even the Florida Gators. You're not. You got Auburn. That's an attention getter, and I think Grand Canyon. You go out there 2 years ago or beginning of last season. Maybe you kind of even sneak up on those folks, but I don't think so. Not anymore. You said it 9th in the mid-major poll right now, and that's a good program out there. So good luck this week, and we'll be watching. It's fun. It should be a fun atmosphere on Wednesday here. It should be a heck of a crowd.
Yeah, hopefully we can. They always do a really good job of turning this into looks a lot like Gainesville when they show up. So hopefully our fans come out and I know it's a sellout crowd, but hopefully we can kind of turn that to a little bit darker shade of blue in the stands. I
like the idea that there should be plenty of UNF Osprey softball fans out there. All you got to do is take a look at what this program's doing right now, and especially with the start 11-1, a heck of a start. A big week ahead. Jeff Conrad, good luck. Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I
Thank
said
you guys.
Mudita, by the way, to a lot of people over the last week.
Did you?
Yeah,
okay.
I really did. I told them all about it. I learned something last week, and now I'm using it.
I'm gonna check with Coach Murphy. I think he might be getting residuals every time that word gets used. So.
He should. I actually told Merck about it. I said, "Did you hear our conversation with Coach?" I said, "Yeah, you got to look up the word Mudita."
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Spreading the word. I'll help Coach Murphy get residuals if needed.
Yeah,
somebody will. You guys can look it up too. Share it in your workplace.
Yep.
We'll be back on Talon Talk talking a little tennis when we come back on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network.
Hi, I'm Joel Donovan. My brother Kyle and I, we are co-owners and operators here at Donovan Heat and Air Electric, and my dad started the business in 1987 to provide the greater Jacksonville area with a great customer service experience. 3 decades later, we're still doing the same thing. I love the Jacksonville area. I love the community. I love raising my family here. That's my name on the side of the building, and it's really important for our family to run this company the way it should be ran. It's something to be proud of.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
We're CSI companies. We partner with organizations nationwide to help employers like you find your dream team. You're looking to hire the best of the best, and we've got you covered, start to finish. Whether you're hiring for projects or everyday operations, we provide the talent, strategic solutions, and innovative technologies that keep your business ahead of the competition. This is your workforce, reimagined. This is CSI Companies.
Baker Sports. It's a hometown business filled with hometown people trying to make you feel right at home.
Chris Conley, Jacksonville University. Walker Wright, class of 2018, West Nassau High School.
Michael Young, Fletcher High School.
Baker Sports started in a grassroots way and now outfits much of the Southeast.
Samuel Coffrin, Paxton School for Advanced Studies.
High school sports, travel sports, youth sports of all kinds. They are a one-stop shop carrying Nike, Adidas, Under Armour brands, and more.
Vincent Caldes, Oakleaf High School.
Tony Mazzio, Sandwood High School, class of 2002.
Whether it's sports teams on the field or it's your team in the workplace, like our Action Sports Shacks team, and community events like the Dream 18 Golf Tournament, and many others.
Cole Tilley, Hilliard High School.
Reagan Webb, Eagles View Academy.
Look good, feel good, play good with Baker Sports. Custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team at bakersport.com. Oh, we're talking a little tennis here on the program. Talon Talk continues on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network. And the UNF Osprey women's tennis team off to a heck of a start. Best start in 20 years. Brent Martineau Richard Miller and Gabby Goins joins us now, sophomore for the women's tennis team. And congratulations on that start. That's fun, right, when you hear, hey, best start in 20 years.
Yeah, I haven't heard that since today. So, yeah, it feels really good.
Were you alive in 2007?
Yeah, it was about a year.
Okay.
A year.
Okay. Just had to check.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it in that context.
Yeah.
Why are you guys off to such a good start? You got wins over FAU and USF. But did you expect this, I guess? And I guess a little bit of the why. Obviously, you're playing well, right?
Yeah, we're all playing really well. I didn't really go into it thinking about it that far. Just thought about the first match, like going to FAU, and they're ranked 27 in the country. So that was all I was really thinking about. I wasn't thinking this far into it, like a 7-0. It's not really in my mind, but it does feel really good now. And obviously, I'm really happy with everyone. Yeah.
And now, was it back-to-back matches where you were the final point deciding match? And what is that like? All eyes on you, or are you straight tunnel vision of nothing else matters?
So the first one was, we were at 3-all in the match, and obviously it's 1st to 4. And definitely some first match jitters. Like I wasn't feeling like super into the season yet. But we were down, we had lost the doubles point against FAU. We were down, I think, maybe 3-1, or 3-2, and there were still 2 matches left next to me. My teammates were still playing. And I had just gone into a full third set, probably already been a 2.5-hour match. I was feeling it in my legs, and then I started realizing, like, okay, this match might come down to me. And I was losing the third set, and my coach just came up to me and was like, just don't even act like you're tired. Just act confident. Like, stay out here as long as you can. And it's okay if you lose. And then I had that mindset, and I started winning, and then all my teammates came over, and, I mean, there's not really a feeling like it's really nice. Even as a sophomore, like, I just thought, like, okay, I'm going to be confident. This school is bigger than us. Like, they should beat us, but I mean, we knew that we could beat them, so it was a really good feeling. Yeah.
That's why you play it, right? For
Yeah.
those are the feelings you don't forget, and you don't always get them. But it must be that'll be a cool memory.
Yeah,
to have it,
definitely.
and I would assume. Do you think now preps you for, more of those kind of experiences, hopefully to come this season?
Yeah, definitely. We've had 3 4-3 matches against USF. We were down 3-0. Again, lost a doubles point, lost a couple singles matches, close, but kind of quickly. And the 4 of us still on the court. I mean, beating FAU that close. It was definitely a good first match to prepare us for those big moments. And we just got it done. My teammate Lau, she clinched the last point, and I think she finished maybe 10 minutes after me. I won in a third set too, and that was awesome too. It was a really good feeling there.
We've talked to Coach Burt, Coach Fred about rest and recovery. After, say, you play 2.5, 245 of tennis, what is rest and recovery like?
We played a double header and another match Friday and Sunday this weekend, and I'm really feeling it today. They're just getting us into ice baths, contrast, a hot tub. Let's just get the day off and just stay away from the tennis courts. My mindset, I just don't do anything tennis. I just try and chill all day, really. And we're back at it tomorrow. Yeah.
How long in an ice bath?
I usually don't do it as long as they tell me, but
don't blame you.
Yeah, 8 minutes is
That's
my
pretty.
max.
That's really good. That's pretty good.
That's my max.
I've done the 3-minute eye cryo chamber. That was enough.
Oh,
that's a tough
yeah.
That's a mental gymnastics to get to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Forget about 8.
Yeah.
I don't even want to try it. Give us your origin story, I guess, for UNF. How'd you get here? From Pensacola Catholic, and now a sophomore, obviously. But how did you land here at the University of North Florida?
Yeah, it was a long process. The recruiting process is hard, especially in tennis. I felt like I was committing late, and I actually was the first commitment of my class in September of my senior year. But I kind of knew I wanted to stay in Florida. I definitely kind of limited. I took out the Northeast fast, and I thought maybe going out west would be fun, but I knew I couldn't go too far from home. And I just love Florida. I love Jacksonville. I looked at a lot of places in Florida, but once UNF was really just my only official visit. I had some others set up, but I knew once I got here, I really loved my coach. I loved our team. And it was just a perfect fit for me.
Well, and Brent, that's always a common theme. We talk to these tennis recruits, now players, and they all say that I fell in love with Catherine, the head coach. I bonded with her, and you found the same.
Yeah, definitely. She's really the best by far. Even on her team now, 7-0, she's still pushing us really hard because she knows what we can do, and we haven't even got there yet. And yeah, she's awesome.
I also see you have 7 cats and 3 dogs, so let's just jump to that right away. That sounds a little crazy.
Yeah.
Was that an accumulation process or what?
Well, it's grown since then.
Not on campus, by the way. That's back home, right?
I have 2 on my own on campus, but yeah, at home I have probably 11 now, or my family. They're not mine, but I love them, and yeah, that's my fun fact. If anyone ever asks, it's that. It's definitely a crazy household when I go home, but yeah.
Do you live on a farm or what?
Oh, no.
No, okay.
No.
Okay.
They're all indoors. I'm the last of the children in my house. I'm one of 4. So I think my parents kind of, every time one of them went off to college, they would find 2 new cats to replace them. Yeah.
My mom did the same. She would just take in cats.
There you go. I guess they're good replacements. Back to the high school days, you finished state runner-up individually, I think, and team-wise, right?
Yeah.
What was that run like, and how special are those moments still from the high school days? And but you talk about pressure. I would imagine there was a lot going into that.
Yeah, that was my junior year. I was state runner-up, and then my senior year I actually won it. But I played number 1 since I was a freshman, and tennis it's definitely not too big in Pensacola compared to the other places in Florida. And a lot of people I think were surprised that I played high school because it's just not a super high level, but I knew it would probably set me up pretty well for college, just the team experience, and definitely being a freshman playing at 1, I was 14, and it just kind of gave me an insight of what it was kind of like to be not even a leader, but just to be a part of a team, especially because tennis is such a lonely, like, individual sport. It's really nice. I made a lot of friends, and then you would go to state, and there's some big players there from Miami or other South Florida places. Yeah, it taught me a lot, and it was really nice, though, because no one had ever won state for tennis at my high school, and I just really wanted to do that, especially just for Pensacola in general. Give them a little bit of, like, a shout-out. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
You're 7-0 in singles. You were ASUN Player of the Week back January 20th. But I want to know, as a former tennis player, what are you swinging with? What's your racket right now?
Oh, well, I just got a new racket, but I'm using... Like, what racket I'm using?
Yeah,
I'm using a BBall Pure Drive. That's the only racket I've ever used, actually. Okay. I'm not really big into, like, the analytics. Some of the girls on my team know everything, and I don't know anything. I just hand it over to our stringer, ask him what to do, and but it's been working out really well the past, like, 15 years, so I'm just sticking to it.
That's good. You're comfortable with it. I mean, we see, like, in the big tennis events, there's so much analytics that goes on now. What happens in collegiately? Like, what kind of numbers do you guys dive into or can dive into, or is it just when you're stringing a racket? I mean, do you guys have stuff at you're ready if you want to check out some deep dive analytics?
I mean, within tennis, there's definitely a lot. I'm probably not the person to ask. I kind of just go out there and play. But
hey, might not be a bad way to go.
Yeah, there's
not a lot of overthinking. Just do it.
Just play. But yeah, there's a lot of analytics that go behind. I mean, your racket, your shoes, pretty much everything, what you eat, all that. And there's a lot of new technology that's being put into tennis, like looking at, I don't know, any of your patterns while you play. I don't even know what it's called, but I think we're actually fundraising for it for next year, just to kind of look at all the little details that go behind it, because there's so much to look at with tennis.
Yeah, any edge you can get. Is a tennis racket like kind of like the whole baseball, softball world, where the bats are really expensive and they're hot, or the next best thing? I mean, do they come out that frequently in tennis?
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's so many brands. I mean, I've stuck to BBall forever, but I mean, the girls on my team have Yonex, Wilson, Head, like everything. But yeah, there's so much engineering that goes behind it. I was even talking to one of my teammates the other day. Like, I thought her and one of my other teammates had the same racket, and she's like, "No, her, like, the head size is bigger on hers." I was like, I don't even know what that means, but okay. Yeah, there's a lot that goes behind it.
What's your favorite shot in tennis? The ace? Are you going drop shot, slice backhand?
No.
What do you like?
No, definitely not an ace or a drop shot. I don't really have the hands for that, but spilling my secrets, I do just really like keeping everything with my forehand. I've worked a lot on my backhand. Like, my goals this year was my goal last year was to work on my weaknesses, but then I realized, like, that kind of led to a lot of negativity for me. So I've been working a lot on my strengths this year, and that's definitely just probably my volleys, my forehand, just working on my courage to come in and just, like, assert myself in the court, not stay back.
Yeah, I guess I'll finish with this. I like that kind of thought process. Do you feel like you can dictate play, or do you want to dictate play in tennis, or does sometimes your opponent just can do that based maybe on the power of a serve, or if they like to serve and volley, or whatever it might be? Like, and does that change, I guess, during a match? I mean, with the ebbs and flows.
Yeah, like I said, there's just so much that goes behind it. Like, you kind of just have to work with whoever you're playing against. For me, I definitely changed my game a lot just based on my opponent. I'm not, like, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest hitter, but I kind of more just work with, like, my court knowledge, like my court intelligence, kind of, just to figure out what my opponent doesn't like, just figure out how to win, really. Of course, like, in tennis, you want to be able to dictate the point. You want to set yourself up, but if your opponent's wailing on the ball, then there's not much you can really do there. Some people like when you hit it hard, some people don't. Just kind of whoever you're playing against. So.
Well, it seems to be working.
Yeah.
So keep it up. Congrats on the great start for the the UNF women's tennis team. Best start in 20 years, and good luck the rest of the spring. Gabby Goyens, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was another fast edition of Talon Talk. UNF Ospreys, 18 events.
Yeah, coming
in
up.
2 days coming up.
Yeah, we'll have Wednesday, softball is big, and then you've got Thursday, UNF men against Austin P right now.
Should be a good one.
Best team in the league.
Go check out all the things happening at UNFospreys.com because there's a lot happening. And check out the Ospreys. And go check out an event as well, whether it's for the tennis team, on the diamond with baseball and softball, or inside UNF Arena. Have a good rest of your day, everybody, and check out Talent Talk each and every Monday now at 2 o'clock, and it replays on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network multiple times during the week, but you can always find it on social media as well.